Hey guys, let's try this again. I've had to redo broadcasts today 3 or 4 times. This stream will be talking about the resurrection of Jake the Snake Roberts. I want to give a trigger warning. This documentary in the first half deals with child sex abuse. Okay. If you are heavily triggered by that or you have a problem with it, then this documentary is not for you. At least the first part. If you want to get motivated to get sober or get clean or need an inspiration to get to that point, then I I highly recommend watching this documentary. First part of the documentary, it deals with Jake's popularity in the 80s and 90s, him hitting his pinnacle, and Edge and JR and Mean Gene Okerlund and Jake's children, three of Jake's children talking about. Um, and then it goes into Jake heavily in addiction. Jake goes into to say most retirees don't last long because it makes them happy. So they go and they do wrestling or they do events. Jake was heavily addicted to cocaine and alcohol. He said so himself on the Joe Rogan interview. He was sexually assaulted by his mother at his stepmother at age 12, and was threatened by his stepmother not to tell anybody because if he told anyone, he would get beat. So he didn't say nothing until he had to tell everyone why he went into addiction to begin with. And it was extremely hard for him to get to a place where he could be comfortable with himself because at that point he was over 300 pounds and he could barely move, barely be mobile. DDP suggested, hey, why don't I come down and we can get you. Well, if you lose 60 pounds, I'll move you to Atlanta. Okay, I'll do it. Although it did not happen overnight. This Jake had been using cocaine and alcohol for 30 years. This was his coping mechanism for his sexual assault as a youngster. Okay. Jake had lived with DDP for 3 years because that's how long it took him to get sober. I mean, he'd have bouts where he would get drunk and then DDP would have to pick him up from the airport. He didn't have his shoes. He was drunk. Jake, was cussing, trying to explain himself, and DDP wasn't having it. And he said, "You know what? You're a fucking drunk. This is what you are. If you want to stay at the accountability crib, you need to stop drinking. You need to get sober. Otherwise, you're going to be kicked out." And he was doing all time. Jake was doing all of that to see if DDP would kick him out, but he couldn't because DDP loved him and he wanted to get him straight and get him sober and get him to the point where he could live a life without cocaine and alcohol. And it took a long time for Jake to get to that point because he hadn't gotten there at that particular point in the documentary. So, Jake goes, he does DDP, does DDPY and loses 60 pounds. He gets moved to Atlanta, does DDP yoga one day, and trying the positions. And have so he gets to the point where he can get sober. They go in and they help Scott Hall, Razor Ramon. Razor Ramon at that point in rehab for several times, 12 to be told. He wasn't in a place where he was sober. DDP said, "Hey, bro, why don't you come down? We got a spot for you. I can help you out. We can get you sober." And they were opening over now for uh it was really, really difficult because you were so hoping and praying for, and then you get scared once you find out he relapsed. I got scared. I literally had to look away at some points of the documentary because it was really, really, really heavy and really, really dark. It's not for those that are heavily triggered when it comes to sexual abuse. And if you are struggling with alcoholism or any type of addiction, alcoholism, pills, whatever that case may be, this can be the starting point for you to get sober. Get to that point where you want to quit. I was, I drank from 2005 to 2016 on and off, dealing with my trauma. Besides being um, assault, was really hard to talk, to not talk, because people are always asking, "You okay? What's up with you? You okay? You need anybody to talk to? We're here to help you. We want to help you. We love you." I didn't know who to trust at that time. At that point in time of my life, I only trusted one person, and that was mine and my father. He was my cheerleader. He was my Mick. All that rolled into one. He helped me when everybody else, my mom and her family, by having me leave. I've been sober now for 5 years, almost 5 years, and I don't even want to drink alcohol. The only addiction I have now is caffeine, which is mainly soda for me, and it's a hard habit to kick. As a consequence of what happened to me and how I chose to deal with my trauma, I now have overactive thyroid. Okay, I can eat and eat and not so much as gain a pound, or I gain it and then I end up losing it because I'm moving around so much because I have to be mobile. I have to get around somehow, you know. Um, Jake has helped me see that there's more to life than alcohol or drugs. And now I'm in a place where I'm trying to love myself. And that's the hardest thing I've had to do at this point. I'm still in the process of trying to do that. And I hate it. Because how others see me is not how I see myself, sadly. Um, if you're looking, like I said, if you're looking for inspiration to get clean, to get to the point where you want to stop, then watch Jake the Snake Roberts, The Resurrection. If you need, a step in the right direction, I would start there. Because there has to be a point in your life where you have to stop. I was at a point in my life where I had to stop because it wasn't fun. I hated it. I don't understand how a person or a group of people can drink and drink and drink and drink and drink and not be their life every single day, 24/7. I don't understand that. Mine and my sister's mother did the same thing. Drink and drink and drink because she didn't want to deal with her trauma. You know, and she didn't have love for herself. She would go looking for love from different people to get that nourishment that she wasn't getting. I myself didn't get, and this is going to piss off my sibs, and I don't mean to say it this way. I did not get the love and nourishment from my mother that I should have gotten. Mine and my sibs' mother. When you are born with cerebral palsy and your mother thinks it's a phase, that is the most painful thing you could ever hear from her. Did not take her coming around and showing love for her child, which was me. Okay, I'm not the only child she has. It took her till I was 18 to say, hey, this disability is not a phase. This is my child. That hurt. You know, I don't get it. And for me, I was always looking for motherly figures. The nourishment I didn't get from my mom. I was looking for in other places because I was not getting that. She would say, "Oh, I'm proud of Kelly. I really am." But you know what? What she did to me is the same thing that Jake's dad did to him. He'd go and tell everybody else, "Yeah, I'm proud of my boy. You proud of your son, but you don't tell your son to his face. He has to hear from other people." I don't know how a person cannot tell their child, "Yeah, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Keep going." I guess Jake and I have something in common. That's sad. You know what? Now Jake's got me hooked for life. I go on, I watch a promo, past, present, and I'm hooked. And there's nothing more satisfying than watching Jake cut a promo or watching Jake do going back on YouTube and watching an old match between Jake and somebody else and being hooked and wanting more. I just want to say thank you to Jake for sharing your story and letting people know that they're not the only ones going through that type of abuse, that they were not the only ones going through it. The issue I have now is having love for myself. I have people that love me, don't get me wrong, but I don't have love for myself. And that is the hardest, most painful thing to not have for yourself. I'm very quiet, very with not on, but very quiet, very I don't open up to very many people, and this is the third video I've done, but this is a redoing of the review for the resurrection of Jake the Snake Roberts. This way it'll take a lot less time to load. Um, but yeah, my issue now is to have self-love for myself and appreciate that I have people that love me and want what's best for me and are willing to be there. Me through the phases of not having my good days and then having my bad days. Today's an okay day. But I figured I'd redo the review that I did months ago for the resurrection of Jake the Snake Roberts. And I know someone said it was depressing. Yes, it is depressing. But Jake has given people the chance to talk about theirs and confront their demons and try to be at peace with themselves and not feel guilty, feeling that it was, because it's not. It's not something that abuse victims ask for. We don't ask to say, "Hey, somebody do this, this, and this." We don't want that. I used to be an outgoing little girl. I used to love being around people. I used to love talking to people as a youngster. Now, as an adult, I can't stand it. I freaking hate it. But I'm trying not to get to the point where I isolate myself too much. I mean, I love talking to the people that know me personally. I love being around people that know me personally. I get off of that. I got high off of Roberts for 5 minutes. Just hearing him call me sweetheart. I felt like I was over the fucking moon when he called me sweetheart. That's something that I'll cherish for the rest of my life. Thank you, Jake, for sharing your story and making it possible for me to share mine and not be ashamed of it. I am in the process now of trying to have self-love. And sad as that may sound, that's where I'm at right now. I have a lot of love to give, but I don't have love for myself. And I'm trying to get to that point where I can. But it's going to take a while. I'm self like that. I'm more modest when it comes to being out in public. I wear jeans. People wanted me to be girly girl, and I couldn't do it because I was self-conscious because of what happened to me. I don't need to be dressing in short skirts and short dresses to get someone's attention. I can just do it by wearing jeans and a t-shirt. Enough said, you know? And I've come to like I said in my last video that I did, dealing with cerebral palsy, I've come to the conclusion that I'm bisexual, and I'm comfortable with it now. Years ago, I kept trying to fight it, kept trying to figure out, is this normal? Am I going to be okay? What's wrong with me? But now I'm not like that anymore. I'm comfortable, and I don't have to hide it anymore. The reason I hid it when I was younger is because I didn't want people. I didn't want to have to go to church and have it prayed out of me. That's why I kept quiet. Now I'm comfortable with that. Like I said, the only issue I have now is having self-love for myself, loving myself. And that's the hardest thing that a person like me has to do. And I know that there's others that are going through it as well. But I'm not going to speak for everybody because everybody has their own things that they have to deal with too. Besides that. So thank you, Jake. Thank you, DDP. Thank you, Scott. I hope you guys are doing well. Sorry this is so long. I know I said I'd cut it short, but I figured I'd talk more. Okay? All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.